forsaken booth. The truth is you sadly mistaken. Proof I'm better than.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let us discuss SmackDown from May the 20th, 2022. Finally, an episode of SmackDown that was halfway decent, with the exception, the absolute, man, we're going to talk about it when we get there. All right, so news and notes. One note is our boy Triple H is back. The day after Stephanie decides to go on vacation, Triple H decides, you know what, I think I'm going to go to work. I think that they're trying to get away from each other. But it's good. Triple H is back. He's going to be back in a quote-unquote different role. I'm guessing one that's not as stressful due to his heart condition, which is good, All right, we're good with Triple H being back. So I guess we can stop saying that Nick Khan is killing off the McMahons, He ain't killed them all yet. Plus, the one that matters the most is the chairman anyway, All right, so let's get into SmackDown. Okay, so not match one. Roman and the Bloodline. All right, so Roman comes out there. Heyman really puts him over hard as the GOAT. So this is the biggest night in the history of tag team wrestling. Says that the Usos are also potential GOATs, and that this will be the first time ever that they were going to be undisputed tag team champions, something that Alpha and Sika has never even done. I really wish they hadn't done this. I really wish they hadn't said this. Because, look, I know the Colognes were the Raw and SmackDown tag team champions at the same time. Were they the first ones to do it? I think so. I think the Colognes were the first Raw and SmackDown tag team champions, at least as far as I know. There may have been somebody before them. But the Usos, in winning the Raw tag team titles, are not the first unified tag team champions, the first undisputed tag team champions. They're not. I wish they hadn't said that, but this is WWE, and they're always in full marketing hype machine. Anyway, Paul Heyman says that the Usos needed to win or they're not welcome back on the island of relevancy. Everybody has to earn their spot. And so Roman said he had the highest expectations for the Usos because he loves them. He gives them a hug and he has this, shit-eating grin. And it was played very well, as if, he knew that something was up. So we get a couple of promos throughout the night from the Usos and RK Bro. I'm not going to go into that. We're just going to skip over those. And instead, let's go into the match, because the match itself was very good. Now, people were very distracted in going into this match, simply because they had announced that Naomi and Sasha Banks had been suspended right before this match started. So there was a lot of tweeting about that. I'm going to talk about that in a separate video, because I want to spend at least 10 to 20 minutes talking about that alone. And I don't want to extend this thing talking about that again. So we're going to talk about Naomi and Sasha in a different video. In this one, though, RK Bro lose the Raw Tag Team Championship to the Usos because Roman Reigns got up on the ring apron and held Riddle's foot to prevent the Super RKO from the top rope. This was followed by the Uso Splash by Jey Uso. Jey Uso pins Riddle to win the titles. After the match, the Bloodline beat the tar out of RK Bro, which has caused the little bitty babies in the crowd to cry. That was so sad. That was incredibly sad. WWE has a way of catching these magical little moments. And for me, that moment, that second, when I saw that little boy crying, I said to myself, man, I'm almost 40. And wrestling doesn't make me feel that way. It rarely ever makes me feel that way. The one thing in wrestling that made me feel really bad within the last several years was Undertaker losing at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar. That made me feel so bad, I don't even watch that match. I have not watched that match since it occurred. That's how bad that match made me feel. I will never want to experience that again. So I'm never watching it again. I'm not watching that match. No way. So, for kids, this is what it's about, because they are invested. We think Riddle is silly and goofy and he's better than this. He could be a badass MMA tough guy because that's what we want to see as grown folks. That might be interesting to us. But to the fun-loving, hippie, and the kids love that, to them, this was their guy. And he's getting an Uso splash from the top rope, crushed through a table. And Roman is, screwed Riddle again. And after dissing Riddle, of course, on Twitter and dissing him in person and all this kind of stuff, I get it. That's the magic of wrestling. That's the one thing about wrestling to me that, makes it fun for me. It makes me wish I had kids, because as an adult, that's why I'm analytical about this stuff. I don't try not to get too emotional about it, because it's hard to get me emotionally invested in people that I know that come and go. I'm really, really, really emotionally invested in people that I've been watching for 15 to 20 years already. That's a problem with all the releases and the changing of the theme songs and all that kind of stuff, is it kind of breaks that up. But, I do understand it. I have empathy for the children who are watching this stuff, seeing their heroes get not only lose their titles, but get summarily beat down and get wrecked. And he cried. And I said, man, it's awesome on several different levels. It's awesome to see somebody so involved in the show. And to say, man, I remember when I was that involved in the show, when I used to get so upset seeing, my favorite guys get beat up. I remember when Undertaker got his face crushed by Mabel. I was sad as hell. I was probably 11 when it happened. I was sad I was sad when he got killed at Royal Rumble 94, and he had to ascend to the heavens because 12 heels came out of nowhere and beat him up. I was sad. I was like, this feels bad. It feels bad. You don't want to go through that. It'll be silly in 10 years. He's going to be looking back like, man, that made me cry. But right now, he's living in that moment. He gets to be that moment. He gets to be that kid forever. It's like the Angry Miz girl. She gets to be that kid forever. Just like Izzy. She made an entire career off of being the girl who cried because Sasha Banks, beat up Bayley. It's something that can make you feel that way. It's special. Now, Uncle Dave put out some information that says that maybe Roman is going to be wrestling Riddle in a singles match, and then he's going to wrestle Randy Orton at SummerSlam, and then he's probably going to be wrestling Drew in September. Now, the Drew in September thing seemed pretty obvious. And Drew is in Wales doing promo for the Castle show. They've sold 40,000 seats or something like that already. It's an enormous show. But the Riddle Roman idea is excellent. But the problem that we've had here is the 50-50 booking of Riddle. In so much as, yes, Riddle has beaten each member of the Usos, which he talked about in his promo segment. But whenever RK Bro loses, it's Riddle that gets pinned. And Riddle loses a lot. He loses probably way too much. And that's going to be the problem of getting people to buy into Riddle as a legitimate contender, a legitimate threat. So that tells me that the likelihood that Roman is wrestling Randy Orton, which I actually do believe, because Randy Orton's a bigger name, is I believe that the Riddle match is just going to be a stepping stone to the Randy match. So RK Bro is still hot, and they got screwed. They didn't lose straight up. So they may even try to pull a rematch out, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do a rematch at Hell in a Cell. And maybe Roman screws them over again. But the Riddle Roman idea, I love the match because Riddle is a guy that when he was in NXT, I didn't expect him to get over as he has gotten over. I didn't expect him to be in this position. Riddle's only been on the roster about a year or so. Maybe a year and some change. I think he wrestled at WrestleMania last year. So maybe a year and some change. And he's already a top guy. Kind of. He's about to be wrestling Roman on a pay-per-view or something like that. Maybe at Money in the Bank. That could be a big deal, man. That could be big, and I'm surprised, but Riddle has proven that if you can make things work, like the scooter, and then Randy's young boy and all that kind of stuff, the hey Randy, all the annoying stuff that everybody hates, like this guy's a MMA badass, man. It's like, yeah, but this persona is working. It's working. They selling tons of merchandise. They're over, super over. It's working. And a lot of it is Riddle. A lot of it is Riddle. Randy's just there as a straight man. Riddle is doing all the comedy. He's doing most of the wrestling. He's working most of the match. He's the babyface in peril. He's the Ricky Morton of this thing. I got to give Riddle the utmost credit. He's been tremendous. And he's got a big future. I know he's already in his mid-30s. But I think he probably will end up being WWE champion one day. Maybe not anytime soon. But I think he will get there. And I think that people will be more emotionally invested when he does get there. Because of the stuff that he's doing now. And they're always going to remember RK Bro. And they're always going to remember, hey Randy, RK Bro 420, I just smoked your ass. The scooter and all that stuff. They're going to remember that stuff. WWE fans have a long memory, much longer than WWE want us to have. So, and the Randy Orton match, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, it sells itself. It definitely should spend more time. And I hope we get a far more vicious and serious Randy Orton. If that match were to occur, I'm talking, we need Randy that kicks the Usos in the head and threatens to kick Paul Heyman in the head. We need that Randy Orton to wrestle Roman Reigns, because it's hard to get people to believe that Roman will lose. And so we need the worst, most, conniving, vicious version of Randy Orton in order for that match to reach the heights that we really want it to get. I need Randy to boot the Usos in the head, boot Paul Heyman in the head, pop up out of nowhere, RKOs to Roman. And therefore, in order to get that version of Randy Orton, we probably need to do something terrible to Riddle. This is why I kept saying before that RK Bro needed to either shit or get off the pot. Because you needed to get Randy either bought in fully or get him out of the situation. Now that we've got him in, he's bought in fully. Okay, now we can use Riddle as a toy to get the worst out of Randy. So if we do something like Roman wrestles Riddle, absolutely embarrasses him, beating him up, like he did to Rey Mysterio. Throw him all over the place, powerbomb him through a table or some more shit, something like that. And we do a Riddle is injured kind of angle. And maybe we do similar to, do you remember the angle when Mick Foley was hurt and he says, do it for the Micker? And The Rock is like, who the hell is the Micker? You can do something like that similar, where maybe we do a stretcher spot where, Riddle is on a stretcher and then Randy is there and he's like, Riddle. He's like, bro, you could do it, bro. And maybe he gives him a thumbs up. And it's still kind of comedic because that's Riddle's character. But it sets Randy off and now he's going to go in there and do like damage to the bloodline. And he needs to be by himself. I would love that. And I think that would make an incredible amount of... It would make people believe that Randy could win the title. But only if we do that. If we just have kind of babyface Randy who is kind of wishy-washy and a little soft, nobody's going to buy it. Everybody's just going to look at it and say, okay, who's next? Who's after that? But we need to get dark with Randy Orton. We need to get as dark as we can get with Randy. Should we get like him fighting the Fiend dark? I don't know about that. But we do need like kick you in the head, Randy Orton. We need that. All right, so I spent way too much time talking about that. But RK Bro and the Usos, really good stuff. Hell of a match. First match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. Now, this match was actually pretty good, too. They actually got a lot of time. The finish was inventive. Sami Zayn was about to get counted out. He rushed to get back into the ring. Got kneed in the head and pinned. Really solid. Nakamura is apparently still not done with the bloodline because as he was coming out for his entrance, Roman and company was walking right past him and Nakamura gave them the eye. So he's not done with them yet, but they're for some reason keeping Nakamura and Roman apart despite all this, which is very bizarre. Like, let's just have the match, man. Let's just have the match, okay? But I don't know what they're going to do with Nakamura. I have no idea. Happy Corbin. This was the best Happy Talk segment ever. This was a very good Happy Talk segment. So, Happy Corbin talks about his $12,000 hat. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you paid $12,000 for that shitty hat. But he says nobody knows how good it feels to be him. And that he rid WWE of Madcap Moss, but he got himself a souvenir, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal Trophy, which is going to look good next to the one he's already got. So they reminded you that he's won the Andre before. This actually has layers to it. I'll get to that in a moment. Then he says that people need to learn from Moss, that you do what your boss tells you to do, and you never should have tried to increase your station, and you need to show your boss the ultimate respect. Then he says that he ate Wagyu beef and I paid for it, and he didn't appreciate me. He thought I could be the butt of all of his jokes. And then after he cut his promo, he destroyed the Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy, which I loved. I thought that was an excellent segment. So let's talk about it. People really kind of got a rise out of the Corbin segment because he said that you should do what your boss tells you to do. Stop trying to increase your station. Basically, learn your place. And people were like, I can't believe after all the Sasha Banks and Naomi stuff, WWE would put that out there. I'm like, Corbin is a heel. He's a heel. A heel is telling you not to try to improve your station. A heel is telling you just do what the hell your boss tells you to do. That's a heel talking, Stop thinking that the WWE is pushing some kind of propaganda. If they were pushing some propaganda, it'd have been like a babyface would have told you, like, look, just do what everybody tells you to do. And this wouldn't happen. But it's not a babyface, it's Corbin, who everybody hates. So yes, he would say something like that. Absolutely. Now, the layers to this story, for starters, I really, really love that Happy Corbin was focused. He was serious. There was no bad jokes here. He delivered things with force, and he did things that was deliberate. Now, when I said that there's layers to this, what I mean is, he mentioned earlier that he already has a Memorial Battle Royal Trophy, an Andre Trophy. If you look at things, take a step back, and you look at things, you can see that by Madcap Moss winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, they're saying that he's just as good as Corbin. Because Corbin won the Battle Royal. Now, Corbin was also the United States champion and Mr. Money in the Bank. We'll get there eventually with Madcap Moss. But what we're saying is they should have been seen as equals. Madcap Moss saw Corbin as an equal. He saw him as a buddy, as a friend. That's why he was making the jokes on him. Because you rib your buddies, you rib your friends, and Corbin's like, no, I'm your boss. I'm on a higher level than you. But then when you see that Madcap Moss achieved something that Corbin also achieved, it's like, are you really my boss? Is that really the case? Now, he was introduced as the boss of Madcap Moss, but over time, they just came across as being friends. So I think about it, look at it, and say to myself, that's an actual extra layer. Because you say to yourself, Corbin is a guy who has tenure, as far as experience is concerned, is just being around. But he doesn't have a lot of accomplishments, So winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was a big deal for him. And it's also a big deal for Madcap Moss, And now Moss kind of sees himself as being equal to Corbin. And Corbin's like, no, you're not my equal. We're not friends. You can't cut jokes on my dime. No, you can't make fun of me. And I'm going to beat your ass for doing so. So I actually like that. This is the best Happy Talk segment. I'm pretty sure I'm going to eat my words later on by saying this is pretty good. They're going to turn it into absolute shit. I heard they were trying to repackage Madcap Moss, and I was kind of like, duh. Of course they're going to repackage the fucking guy. You know, he's probably going to come back with a haircut and a different name, which all would be very good, as long as they get rid of them goddamn suspenders. All right, so Gunther defeats Drew Gulak. Right decision, of course, based off of the chop last week. After the match, Gunther and Kaiser make fun of Drew Gulak. Gunther put him in a Boston Crab. And then Kaiser kind of teased him with his foot, kind of grinded his foot in Gulak's head and, you know, grinded his foot on his hand. And then Ricochet ran down to the ring to confront Gunther. And despite the fact that Gunther is big as 2 Ricochets, and it was 2 of them, they bailed out. And I said to myself, yes, daddy. Yes, daddy. Come on, daddy. I called it 3 weeks ago. Ricochet just needs to just hand over that fucking belt. Now, Ricochet should throw the belt on the table and walk out. Because he's been Intercontinental Champion forever. And he ain't done shit with that belt. He's just had it. You know, he's just kind of been carrying it around. And for a while, he was losing singles matches. Now, you want to get mad about, I'm a champion and I'm being mistreated. Look at Ricochet. He's not wrestling. He's not cutting promos. He's not doing anything. And to start his Intercontinental title run, he lost like 4 matches in a row. He should be a guy slamming belts on tables saying, let me out of here. I want out. You know, he should be the fucking guy saying he want out of here. He's still hanging in there, though. But Gunther about to get the Intercontinental title. So that's going to be and it's a perfect belt for Gunther. Because Gunther can't be the world champion. At least not right now. So him being the Intercontinental champion and being the guy in that division, especially with his angle being the mat is sacred and this being the workers' title, it works perfectly. You know, I like it. But I personally would piss people off by having Ricochet win the first match. I would have Gunther win the rematch. You know, I would piss people off by having Gunther lose the first match. Because Ricochet needs a statement win. You know, he needs to look less like a paper champion. And it's 50-50 book, and of course you will have a third match where Gunther will also win. But I'm saying is, you need to do something to make Ricochet a worthy champion so that when he loses, it matters. Okay? Now, I would give him some kind of surprise roll-up win, you know, and he beats Gunther, and Kaiser is shocked, and Gunther is shocked, but have him do it in a way that Gunther doesn't respect. You know, maybe it's some type of trickery, you know, and we know that Gunther is the whole mat is sacred. This is what the business should be. Let it be some type of trick, some type of, you know, something. And Gunther challenges him and then destroys him, beats him flat, wins the title. Then we do the rematch, where basically 2 out of 3 falls or something like that. And then we have Gunther win that too. But I think that if Gunther beats Ricochet right now for the Intercontinental title without Ricochet actually having any momentum or any heat and barely being over, I don't really see how that benefits Gunther outside of just getting a fucking belt that's cold as ice when he gets it. You know, the belt should be hot too when you win it. You know, it shouldn't be a cold fucking belt. That's the kind of the idea of winning the title in tournaments. It's kind of like, you know, it's a cold belt. Unless it's a hot tournament, it's a cold fucking belt that you picking up, and you gotta now start all over again. So hopefully they do something. Maybe you don't beat Gunther. Maybe you have Ricochet beat somebody else. I don't know who would it be. Nakamura, maybe, because Nakamura just lost to Zayn 2 weeks ago. I don't know. I don't know what you would do, but I think that Gunther needs to have that belt, and it seems to have his name on it already. But I would try to heat the belt up some when he wins it, you know. So next, Shotzi and Aaliyah are arguing backstage about who should have been wrestling Ronda Rousey. Shotzi complained that Raquel pushed her out of the way, while Aaliyah claims Shotzi locked her in the locker room. WWE tries very, very hard to make things episodic. This is kind of ridiculous. Like, we didn't get to see Shotzi lock Aaliyah in a locker room, which we should have seen. That would have been funny as something to see. Or if we just saw, Shotzi smash Aaliyah in the head with a lamp or something like that to keep her from going out there. So they were arguing when Raquel shows up, and Shotzi just automatically just cuts into Raquel. Said that Raquel shoved her aside to get the title match, and that Raquel is soft and weak and too happy, and she's 6 feet of disappointment. Not a bad promo from Shotzi, but still directionless, generic heel stuff. Raquel and Shotzi had a match. I felt like the match actually did a good job of showcasing both of them. Shotzi is a ice cold heel. She has no heat whatsoever. But as basically a sandbag for Raquel Gonzalez, she worked out pretty good. Now, Raquel Gonzalez wins the match, of course. Why wouldn't she? They kept bleeping out the Chingawa bomb, or the Chiquita bomb, however they're calling it. Apparently, they can't say these words on Fox. So every time Michael Cole said the name, it was muffled or cut out. Jesus. That WWE boy, man, they're super PG. Okay, just change the name of the move then. For Christ's sake. Just change it. Don't censor it. Just change the name of the move. Please. Just make it easy on us, please. I didn't mind Shotzi losing in this match. Again, she's already ice cold, and this was basically a show off for Raquel Gonzalez and a bounce back rebound match because she lost last week. I pitched the idea because I did see that, Paige is willing to manage a wrestler, and Edge has sort of been posting stuff about Paige, maybe wanting her in Judgment Day. The Judgment Day. I'm so sorry. I don't want to offend anybody. I think that there is no better duo than Shotzi and Paige. I think if, Shotzi needs somebody she needs a life jacket in this situation. Because WWE is going in a different direction when it comes to these women. Either you're Ronda Rousey and you're super legit, you're a legacy like Charlotte, or somebody who's been around for a long time like Sasha, or Natalya, or you're tall like Bianca and Raquel, tall and muscular, and Rhea. Somebody like Shotzi, who is a normal-sized woman, she's going to have a difficult time getting over in this division. They're going to have one hell of a time getting her over. She needs help. She's going to need help. Aaliyah is also going to need help. I think Aaliyah will be perfect for that tag team thing that they're trying to do. I think Shotzi will also be perfect for the tag team thing that they're trying to do. Like, I like the IDC. I think Shotzi fits with Paige. I think she also fits with Liv Morgan. And I've heard that, Alexa Bliss might end up being in that tag team thing too. And I also like that too. The Alexa Bliss Shotzi team might actually work. I think Shotzi works as a tag team wrestler, but I think she fits more with Liv Morgan on one side and Paige. If she's going to be in a single, why not put her with Paige? Paige is not doing anything. Use Paige to get this girl over. If you're going to use Shotzi in a tag team, put her in a tag team with Liv Morgan. I don't see why not. Now, Liv is even smaller, but Liv is over. She has a dedicated fan base. Shotzi's a little bit bigger. They're both kind of fun-loving horror geeks. Kind of run with that as far as their personalities are concerned. Let's just run with that. But Shotzi needs a life jacket. She's in trouble. Aaliyah is pretty much dead in the water. Like, she's just bland baby face. And it's like, she's dead. She needs help. She needs help in a bad way. Okay, so Max Dupri is now on SmackDown. He was signed by Sonya Deville, and Adam Pearce let him know, like, look, Sonya Deville kind of got axed. I don't know if this thing is going to work, but Max Dupri says that that he's got a contract and that he's going to provide talent that can headline Paris Fashion Week and WrestleMania. And I thought to myself, oh boy, good God Almighty, Good God Almighty. Good God Almighty. I don't hate the name Max Dupri. I really don't. I don't hate Max Dupri. He's already trying to make his name the gimmick. Max Dupri. He's making that the gimmick. It's like a pimp name slip back. You have to say it the way he says it. Max Dupri. And I don't like the people that's going to be in his stable. Like I've heard there's going to be Mace and Mansoor. I don't like that. But there's also the idea that Pretty Deadly are probably going to get brought over to be with him. Now, Max Dupri and Pretty Deadly, that fucking rules. That rules. Because Pretty Deadly don't need a manager. A manager will only make them more annoying, more obnoxious. They're perfect, right? It's a perfect pairing. Because Pretty Deadly don't need it. And Max Dupri, which we know that LA Knight, which everybody hates the name LA Knight. I hated it too, but I got used to it. Everybody's going to be basically hoping that he eventually gets in the ring, and you know, it may happen that he may eventually get in the ring. But I think that he can add so much to Pretty Deadly. I don't think that there's anything there with Mace. I don't think I don't see it. Mansoor, maybe. You know, he's too small though. So I'm not really sure what we got going here, except for him just being the face of like the mid-card division. But Max Dupri, he's present. He's there. It is what it is. You know, I don't hate the name. I see a lot of people complaining. They got used to LA Knight, and you know now they changed it again. WWE does that stuff. It makes no sense. You know, maximum male models, or what the hell is it called? Maximum male models. Yeah, I was right the first time. It makes no sense. But I just want to see how this thing is going to be unveiled. You know, that's what I'm looking forward to. In this promo, Max Dupri was really, really close to Adam Pearce. He leaned into Adam Pearce's face. It was like that episode of Seinfeld, like he's a close talker. Like Seinfeld was a fantastic show for shit like that. You know, coming up with he's a close talker. She's got man hands. You know, basically observations. It made it very funny. But so I guess that's going to be the gimmick of Max Dupri, is that he's going to have to get very close to people, and you know, but it wasn't a bad debut. I really wish that they would have, you know, debuted them in the ring. You know, maybe Adam Pearce is in the ring talking about something else, and then Max Dupri came out there and introduced himself and shook hands and all this kind of stuff. Now, a lot of people are going to be upset about this. Of course they are. Of course they're going to be upset about this. You know, why wouldn't they be? These people are, you know, they're hell-bound to complain about everything. I wasn't too concerned with this. I was actually surprised he changed his name more than anything. And I'm just saying his name is going to be Dupri in a minute. You know, that's what it's going to be. They're going to drop the Max eventually, because he can't do his verbal gimmick with Max, you know. And this is M-A-X, yeah. You know, yeah. And he's probably going to be Max Dupri, yeah. You know, something like that. But the guy can make it work because he's got incredible promo skills. He has incredible charisma. The only problem is that he was old. And they're not really trying to go with that yet. And this seems to be their new way of testing guys. They're going to put you in a ridiculous position. Oh, yeah, we're going to make you a manager. He's not a small guy. He's not, like Adam Cole is tiny, at least. When you say he's going to be a manager, he's tiny. You know, okay, you might be able to get away with that. He's tiny. In this situation, though, it's like they're trying to say that Max Dupri should be the manager of somebody he's going to be bigger than, which is Mansoor, which violates the manager's code. The manager code is that the manager cannot be bigger than the wrestler. And Max Dupri is bigger than Mansoor. Now, I'm pretty sure Rene Dupri is probably out there somewhere like, they're talking about me again. They've been doing this for the last 15 years, 18 years. Everything is about me. You know, they're going to have these guys win the tag team championships to try to break my records. It's like, shut up, Dupri. Nobody gives a fuck about you and your stupid podcast. Have anybody ever heard about this fucking podcast? The only time I even hear anything about Rene Dupri is when he brings on somebody to complain about WWE. And that's literally all they do. Because I don't think he's worked anywhere else and actually made a bit of fucking difference. So everything with him is just complaining about WWE. It's incredibly stupid. And that seems to be the entire podcast. That seems to be 90% of podcasts now, is especially wrestling podcasts, is people complaining about WWE. Either they were there 19 years ago and they're complaining. They were there last year and complaining. They were there 2 years ago and complaining. They were there 2 weeks ago and were complaining. It's like, God damn, 90% of all wrestling podcasts has turned into WWE sucks. That's insane. That's quite a legacy that we've got going on here. So Max Dupri, he's there. I don't know. Maximum male models, not a fan of that. All right, so the last thing, of course, is Xavier Woods versus Butch. We've seen this 1,000 fucking times already. This made me so mad. Because I'm like, we're not getting anything out of this. We're not learning anything. We're not going anywhere with this. This makes no sense. This boring. This is boring. The only thing good about it is Pete Dunne has been excellent as Butch. He's been fantastic as Butch. I don't know much about Butch, except for he's very violent and he smacks Sheamus, and Sheamus doesn't seem to like it very much. So of course he loses to a small package because Xavier Woods. God damn it. Anyway, afterwards, Woods says that he's tired of this. They're going to have a 6-man tag, and they're going to bring in a special somebody to be their third guy, because Xavier Woods knows that these dudes are the dudes who injured Big E. And you would think this would be a far more interesting feud because their buddy got hurt, but no, it's not. It's not interesting at all. It's not a blood feud at all because this guy insists on having a small package finisher. So it's like, how much heat can you really get when one of the guys in the fucking feud has a small package for a finisher? So it is what it is. I cannot wait for this to be over, and hopefully, Sheamus and his boys can get in that tag team title thing, and that should be fun. Or maybe Sheamus could get on the hunt for that Intercontinental title that he needs to finish his Grand Slam. That would be nice. I thought that was the whole purpose of him going to SmackDown in the first place. But it seems like, no, that wasn't the reason he was sent to SmackDown. So, it was an okay episode of SmackDown with the exception of the rematches. And I didn't hate it. It wasn't an awful show. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.